Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing Leetcode problem 507, perfect number. Okay, a perfect number is a positive integer that is equal to the sum of its positive divisors, including the number itself, or excluding the number itself, excuse me. A divisor of an integer x is an integer that can divide x evenly. Given an integer n, return true if n is a perfect number, otherwise return false. Okay, so what are they asking here? So let's say our number is 28, right? Well, the divisors of 28, with the exception of 28, are 1, 2, 4, 7, 14. So if we add all of these numbers, when we get 28, we get the number. So true, that is a perfect number, right? So we basically do this. This is a very simple algorithm. We do this in two parts, right? First thing we need to do is let's just move on to CodePen and I'll show you. It's easier to do it that way. And actually, I'm going to grab all three of these. And here's our variable. Output and the explanation. Create a function func. Let's create a variable called divisors. Set it to an empty array. And now we can loop through, or we can create a for loop that's going to count up to half of num, right? Because a divisor is never, with the exception of the number itself, a divisor is never going to be over half of whatever the number is. So we don't need to go any further than that. And that'll save us some headache if it's like some gigantic ridiculous number or something. So let's create our for loop. So for let I equal, and 1, we want to start at 1, not 0. Then we see I is less than math.floor, just in case it's an odd number. Num divided by 2, then we increment I. And so what we want to see here for I is 1 to 14. I forgot to initiate the function and log in the console. So now we should see 1 through 13. That's not what we want. 1 through 14. We need to make that less than or equal to. Good. Now we see 14. Now how do we check if this number is a divisor? Well, what we do is we use the modulus, right? Because what the modulus does is it says if you have 28 modulus 1, right, that's going to equal 0, because the modulus gives you whatever the remainder is, right? So if you have 28 divided by 5, right, that's going to give you 3, right? Yeah, right. Math, right? Because 5 times 5 is 25, that gets you a remainder of 3, right? So if it has no remainder, it's a divisor. So what we can say is if num modulus I, if that equals 0, so if there's no remainder, we go ahead and push in the divisors I. Okay. Now we can return our divisors, and we should see these numbers here in an array. And we do. Perfect. Finally, all we need to do is just say, okay, if we add all these numbers up, does it equal num? If it does, we return true. If it doesn't, we return false. And one way we could do this just in one line is we could use the reduce method, right, onto divisors, right? So I'm going to say divisors.reduce, and this takes two parameters, sum, and we're going to call the first one sum and the next one num. And we always need to return this with reduce. I always forget to do that. We return sum plus equals num, and then we give our sum and initial value of 0. And you're seeing we're returning 28, right? So what's happening here? So sum is this number here. Okay, this is our initial sum. And what we're doing is we're then looping through this array here, right? And basically we're saying we're going to add this num to sum. This is our initial value, so after our first iteration, sum is then going to be 1. After our next iteration, we add 2, it's going to be 3. Our next iteration is going to be 7. And then next iteration is going to be 14, because we add 7. And then the last iteration, we're adding 14 plus 14. That's going to equal 28. So what they're asking for is a Boolean. They're asking for is the sum of these numbers equal to num. So we can simply just say num equals, right? There we get true. So I believe they use 7 for the other example, which should be false. So if we put in 7, we should see false. And we do. Cool. Let's move over to Leetcode. Make sure it works for everything. Let's format our code. Let's test it. Let's submit it. Fantastic. And that's not as fast as I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be a lot faster. I think my internet speed is really funky right now. I don't know what's going on. I got a storm coming, or I don't know what the deal is. But whatever. Anyways, hopefully you found this video enjoyable and helpful. If you did, please like it. It definitely helps my channel grow. And if you'd like to see more like this, please like and subscribe to my channel. And hopefully I'll see you again real soon.